So former President Jacob Zuma's legal team has written to organizations including the ANC and Nelson Mandela Foundation requesting access to records linked possibly to the arms deal. Zuma is due to stand trial along with French arms manufacturer Thales for alleged corruption in the state's agreements to buy military equipment in the late 1990s. Reports in some newspapers yesterday said the records in question are to do with questionable donations to the likes of the Nelson Mandela Foundation and allegations that the late former President Mandela may have had a direct role in influencing decisions over the selection of some of the companies that were awarded those deals. Jacob Zuma Foundation spokesperson Mzwanele Manyi joins us now to talk more about these developments. Mr. Manyi, grateful for your time on Newsfeed PM. Thank you for being on. Let's begin with the records exactly that you're trying to access and how they'll be helpful to your case.
Yeah, good afternoon, Tembegile, and to your viewers. Yeah, indeed, I can confirm that lawyers of His Excellency President Zuma have indeed sent letters to various organizations, including the African National Congress and the Nelson Mandela Foundation and others, as it were. And it is a pity, though, that those letters got leaked into the media. That was not desirable, but we are where we are today. What the purpose of those letters are meant to ensure that the criminal case that is currently happening in Pietermaritzburg has got all the information to be able to make the right decision, as it were. So the judge that is sitting there needs to know all the information. So it is in the view of the legal strategy that those letters be written, so that all that information is brought in, so that the context can be painted with all the information readily available. So there's really no sinister move. We've seen in the media things about shifting the blame. It's got nothing to do with that. All it's got to do with is that President Zuma respects the people of South Africa, and he has come to a very easy conclusion to say no stone must be left unturned to ensure that the truth is revealed, that the people of South Africa must know exactly what went down. So this is really what this is all about, so that when the judge makes a decision, because it's a criminal case, a decision that is made in this case must be a decision beyond any reasonable doubt. So if there's information that is not put onto the table, that decision will be questionable. So we're really trying to make sure that whatever decision is reached with full information on the table.
Help me out here. So let's say these records indeed prove that A, the Nelson Mandela Foundation was a recipient of dodgy donations. It's an allegation that the former president himself, the late former president Nelson Mandela, was influencing the awarding of those deals in the late 90s, right? Those are just the two substantial points that could arise from these records. How does it help Mr. Zuma's argument that he is innocent?
No, look, this is one of the things that we regret about the leaking of these letters, is that we do not want to conduct a trial by the media. I think all those questions are questions that I'm sure prosecution would want responded to, would want answer to those questions. So I think let's give NP an opportunity to ask that question itself, and just give Advocate Dalimpo, Senior Counsel, to respond to that, because he's got a clear answer on these matters. He's got a clear perspective on this. What will not be right is that we then conduct this trial here on Newsroom. Just conduct a trial at the Pietermaritzburg court. What I think media can help us with is to say to those organizations, if they've got nothing to hide, they must give this information. They mustn't come up with flimsy excuses here, like the DSTV of the ANC has said, that there was a flood that has destroyed things. And which flood is this that targets the 6th floor? Which flood is this that will target, I mean, at one point the ANC was at Shell House, and the SG's office there was on the 9th floor. Which flood would have targeted 9th floor or 6th floor of Lutuli House? So they mustn't come with childish explanations here and disrespect the people of South Africa. People want to know what really happened, so therefore everybody must cooperate, and we call upon the DSG of the ANC not to play games, to come up front and submit these documents. By the way, in the social media, we've seen some of the comments attributed to some of the people that were involved in the financials of the ANC, people like Advocate Brenda Madumise, who is on record saying the ANC does have these financials. So these are ANC people themselves confirming that these matters, these financials are there. So we want to see those financials put on the table, and we want the judge to pronounce on them, and would call upon the media to restrict from trying to conduct a trial by media. If media can help us, media must help to make sure that all the information from all the parties is submitted. Let the court do its work.
Okay, so I don't want to run a trial, as you say, by media, but as with any other reasonable person, one has to wonder if the ANC is saying they're unable to hand these records over because, as you say, they were damaged in flooding. What does that then do for your case?
No, the first thing they would have to tell us, when did the floods happen in the first place? When did these floods happen that all of us don't know about? What floods are these that just target just the offices of the ANC? And if indeed anything happened, the offices of the ANC can't be the only places where these documents are, where these transactions are. These are huge amounts. These are huge financial transactions. Surely the banks of this country are good corporate citizens. Surely the banks will also cooperate, because we're not talking about black bags of money here, but talking about electronic transactions. So all of this paper trail must be in the electronic system of this country. And if everybody is as interested in the justice as they say they are, if everybody is interested in the truth as they claim they are, then everybody must cooperate to make sure that we put all this information on the table, and let those that are charged with the task of finding the truth from all of this, let them perform their task without being hindered.
So ultimately, if all of this is true, and we're going on this version, what it would mean is that, so the former President Jacob Zuma is not corrupt, but the ANC is.
Let's not preempt how the synthesis of this information will be done. I think, as I said, let's focus on bringing the information on the table and not try to do this judgment here and try to undermine the competence of the courts and the competence of the prosecutors. Don't try now, Tembigile, yourself to be a prosecutor here. Leave this to the prosecutors themselves. Leave this to the legal strategy of the legal team of His Excellency President Zuma. Let everything, let's play to our strengths. Your strengths as a journalist is to probe information. We call upon you to sit on the neck of the ANC to get the information out, to ask the banks to get the information out, to ask the companies that are purported to have sent monies out to send information out. Let all the information be on the table. That is your strength. And then let those that
you're quite right.
Deal with it.
You're quite right. It is my job as a journalist to conduct interviews with the banks, with the ANC, including yourselves, as the Jacob Zuma Foundation, because it is Mr. Zuma who's at the center of this, and that is why I am asking you these questions, which leads me to my next question. The arms deal is decades old now, at least the allegations of corruption. There was the Seriti Commission of Inquiry, which I understand is where you've now been able to get access to some evidence by the likes of the NPA and I believe a German official who gave evidence there. When did former President Jacob Zuma become aware of donations given to the likes of the Mandela Foundation and the ANC, and indeed the late former president's alleged influence, possibly, over some of the awarded contracts?
That's exactly what the prosecutor will want to know, and at the right time, President Zuma is going to respond to this. By the way, it's a similar question I was asked at 7:02, and my answer was very clear in terms of why now. Why now is because the trial is now. The NPA is only asking President Zuma to talk to the complicity in these corrupt activities only now. It's only now that President Zuma has got a reason to respond to these things. All along, he has not been, there hasn't been a reason for him to be responding to these things. The trial has evoked all of these things. And by the way, this information is not about saying whoever else is corrupt, whoever else is not corrupt. This information is going to assist the court to be able to make a determination whether President Zuma is corrupt or not, or whether there are others that are corrupt or not. So this information, this process is actually a very necessary process. As the foundation, we support this process fully, that the truth must come out. Let's see all the players, how they played and what happened. Maybe it's all just a myth, there's nothing. Maybe there's something big, we don't know. The only time we'll ever know this is when the case sits in Pietermaritzburg court with all the information being put on the table.
So for the record, you're saying former President Jacob Zuma was not aware of allegations of these donations being made and the existence possibly of these records, either from the time when he was first charged, because the NPA is not only pursuing him on these charges now, it's an issue that's run well over a decade. So he didn't know then, he didn't know during the arms deal inquiry until now.
And now you're putting words in my mouth. I never said
No, I'm asking you for clarity, sir. Pardon me if it sounds as though I'm putting words in your mouth. I'm just asking you to say on record whether he did not know all along until very recently.
I'm saying to you that question will be put to him in court. He'll respond directly to that question. So let's just aim for the court. Let's give the information to the legal team of President Zuma. Let that question be asked in court, and President Zuma is ready to answer.
But if he wasn't aware, sir, what would be the difficulty in confirming it now?
I'm not understanding the question.
I'm saying if the former president wasn't aware, why can't you state that on record as fact?
No, it's because that may not be the case. He may have been aware, he may have not been aware. He'll answer why did he take the kind of attitude he has taken, whether he was aware or not aware. If he was not aware, why wasn't he aware? If he was aware, why did he say it before? And all of these things. Those are all the questions that must be dealt with in a court of law. Let's not try and do this trial by media. I think what we should do now is all of us must focus on getting the information instead of trying to run a trial here.
So he might have been aware, but as you say, let's move on from that. I want to ask you about the Nelson Mandela Foundation. So we know the position of the ANC that documents were allegedly lost in this flooding incident. What has the Nelson Mandela Foundation told you about the records? Because the deadline, I understood it to be around July for your request to have access to the financial documents.
Now, look, if it has not leaked in the media as to what has happened, it is not my duty, or I'm not at liberty to disclose what they would have, how they would have responded. But if they had responded, that response is between them and the legal team. All I'm interested in right now is that they respond to the legal team, they supply the information. By the way, this is really the soft approach that we are doing here, because we think we're dealing with several people. There is a hard approach in getting this information, because getting this information is very crucial. This information must be retrieved. This information must be put on the table. So we're just for now, because we're dealing with comrades and we're dealing with several people, as I said, we're really taking the soft approach. There is a hard approach, by the way, that can be engaged on.
The former president's comrades at the highest level at Luthuli House say they don't have the records. So are you going to take the hard approach now? Will you take them to court? What will the hard approach be?
Let's not preempt what is going to happen. Now, it's still people that are perhaps just responding in various ways. They will be persuaded and all of that. Once the persuasion fades, I'm sure the legal team of His Excellency President Zuma will know what to do.
How much time, though, one has to wonder you'll have to persuade them, because as things stand, the issues are meant to kick off in September in court. Yes, this may not be documentation that you need on that day, but there is a sense that there's urgency now finally in the trial.
Yeah, no, indeed. But we've got a bit of time. On the 9th of September, these particular documents are not documents that we dealt with on that day. So we've got some time. So there's no, that's too late and all of this. No, they've got time. Even if they submit all of these documents by end of August, it will all be fine. There'll be enough time to deal with this thing. On the 9th of September, we'll be dealing with the 106 issue, the issue of the fact that our lawyers are saying Billy Downer does not have the title to prosecute. That's what we'll be dealing with on that day. and then the subsequent days for the rest of these things is still yet to come. So we've got time.
But you're not ruling out taking them to court to access the paperwork, am I right?
No, we're not ruling that out. No, not at all. We're not ruling subpoenas out. We're not ruling anything out. We're not going to work. Let me assure you, the legal team of President Zuma is so resolute, is so determined, it's just unbelievable. They are not going to stop anywhere until they get these documents where they should be. They're going to use all legal means at their disposal to make sure that the truth is on the table. They're going to use all the legal means to ensure that all those documents are extracted from wherever they are. If the so-called floods have flooded the ANC offices, surely they did not flood the banks, surely they did not flood any other places where these are. You know, so this is just really just childish, as I say. It's a very, very, very childish excuse by the DSG. And,
Mr. Manyi, I have to be cheeky and ask you, is this a truth that you would be revealing if the former president wasn't due to stand trial?
I beg your pardon?
Is this a truth that you would be seeking to reveal if former President Jacob Zuma wasn't facing trial?
This is all the issues that will also be put in there, because President Zuma is facing trial because he is alleged to have done corruption. His view is that he has never done any corruption. So because he hasn't done any corruption, he has no reason to be saying anything. But now that people are saying he's corrupt and there's all these monies that allegedly have flown into his way, he's saying, okay, fine, if this is what you're saying, let's have a look at the flow of funds. Let's deal with this thing and see whether what you're saying makes sense or not. That's what is happening here.
Okay. You spoke about submissions. August 20th was the deadline, I believe, for that submission of the former president's medical records. Has that submission been made with the High Court in Pietermaritzburg?
There's some interruption here. What submission?
I was asking you about the submission of the former president's medical records, the assessment that was due to be handed in on August 20th, which was yesterday.
Yes.
Have you done that?
Yeah, well, look, the people that would have submitted that, the legal team, I'm sure they would have done that. I sit here, I have no confirmation of that.
Quick final one, an update on the former president's health. How's he doing?
I think the people that can really, to be honest, that can speak authoritatively on that question are President Zuma's medical team. But from a layman's point of view, the lawyers who have been with him, I think a couple of days ago, they just reported to us that, no, he looks fine and all of that. So from a layman's point of view, he looks fine. But from a medical point of view, doctors must really issue a clear medical bill of record to say what exactly is the status.
Mzwanele Manyi, thank you very much for that. Spokesperson for the Jacob Zuma Foundation. Thank you.